All right, here is the speed run of Every Day I'm Shuffling, the Excel Esports case. Going to start out with a little index, just finding in this, pre-shuffled deck what is the correct ninth card, and there it is. Now we're gonna do some cutting, right? So first I'm gonna give this a name so I can refer to it later in DO, which is new deck order. So now I'm making this a lambda using OI robot because I'm gonna need it. So there's the input, the cut. Let's do the cut code is this. Cut number is at only numbers of this. This, right, are my inputs. So I mark that as an input cell. And same thing with all this, also marked. So now what do I need? I'm going to put something on the top and I'm going to put something on the bottom. On the top, I'm going to put a sequence of 52 minus the cut number. And it's going to start at the cut number plus 1, right? So that's 24 to 52. And then on the bottom is just the sequence 23 cards, right? The numbers from 1 to 23. Sequence 23. So now deck out is VStack of choose rows from the deck, and it's the top go on top. And then the same thing for the bottom, which is in T. And then let's call this the cut deck. There, cell A. There's the cut deck. And index from here by that position. All right, now I'm going to do it multiple times, right? So we start with NDO, and then if there's no code, then just carry it over. Otherwise, cut deck of the input deck and the cut code. Right, with the close parentheses, no pesky asterisks, please. All right, and then the index of this by that position. All right, now it's time. We're going to make our shuffle lambda. I'll start with the input, right, which is still NDO. The shuffle code is here. Then what? So text after the S to get rid of that. And then text split by the colon times 1. Do I want it like this? No. Why is that being weird? 30, just 30. There we go. There it is. So that's S num1 and that's S num2. So now the starts of each group. Well, how many groups are there going to be, first of all, right? So the total cards is 52 minus that. That's how many cards are going on top, right? So now the ceiling of that quantity divided by the number of cards in each group, right, is the number of groups. So now the start number, right, the start index for each group, first one starts at 1. The next one's going to be a sequence, right, and it's going to start at, 34 plus 1. And how many rows is it going to be? Well, it's going to be 3 rows. And what's the step going to go by? It's going to step by that, right? And that should be it, right? And then the groups, right, is reverse of sequence of this plus 1. Right, so now sort key, right, is XLOOKUP of sequence 52 on the start, returning the groups with the -1 match style. So yeah, here's all the 4s, 3s, 2s, and then the 2 1s at the end. All right, so deck out is sort by this, and then we'll call this shuffled deck is here. I'm gonna need my colors. I think if I just do like this should work, right? So now I'm working in what, level 5? Now level 4 is what I'm working in. So now I got my colors, so it knows what inputs to use. And SLA, my OA robot shuffle deck lambda is ready. Which is not actually the answer to this question. For this question, I need what points is, well, first I got to make a points table over here, right? Aces 1, 11, 12, 13 is how this one works. So now it is XLOOKUP of the left of, let's use the original deck, right? On here, returning the number of points. So now the total points, right, is just the sum of the filter of these points by the group number equals this group number, right? Keeping that stuff locked. And the filter might be empty, so I'll add an if error. It's how many points each one is worth. This one is asking for the first group, right? Then this one is going to ask for the maximum of the groups that are not the 0th group, right? So that should work for that. Now we're going to actually shuffle for real, right? So equals shuffle deck of the NDO by this shuffle code. And then the index of this by that position. And then level 7 is going to work just like level 3, right? Can I just kind of copy level 3 over? So that's here. The only thing is that it's going to be shuffle deck, right? Cut deck, no, shuffle deck. So now the index of this by that position. And we're ready to do this stuff. So the frequency table of the right of this tells me what suit is most common, and it is diamonds with 8. What cut brings you back after a 17? Well, it's 52 minus 17. 52 minus 17 in the correct notation, C35. If we do all the cuts in level 3, then what do we have to do to get it back? Well, first of all, I'm going to do only numbers of this, right? And then I'm going to sum that up. And then, ooh, that's not right. Equals the sum of this, right? So mod of that 52, right? So how many is left over is 37. So 52, so the opposite of that, to undo it, is 52 minus that, so it's C15. Card value for level 6 is the sum of XLOOKUP of left, right, of these guys on this table returning this table. And now we're going to do a magic trick. So I'll just, kind of bring this over here to get myself room. Start with NDO, and then, this is just the same. Well, I mean, I don't need the protections, right? So it's just cut deck of that deck by that code. That's going to go here and here, and then shuffle deck of this by this code goes here and here and here, and then the last one is copy paste. All right, that's it. Thanks very much. Bye.